today's episode of PJ and the Beard, we're going to take a look at a Walrus audio pedal from their Fundamental series. But before we get into the pedal, I'd like to ask you to consider subscribing to the channel, click on the notification bell. Your interaction with us helps us interact with great people in the industry. In this case, as I mentioned, Walrus Audio, who we've had some direct interaction with, but we got this pedal in via Zzounds, and we have the Fundamental delay pedal here in front of us tonight.
Right. We've done a couple other pedals from the series that are on the channel, but I feel like this one has the most features out of any of the budget. Should I say budget line? It is kind of.
It is. It's their lower price point.
So that's kind of cool, and we'll jump into those here pretty soon. Just to start, the three sliders on it from the top. Mm-hmm. Do you know what they are?
Yeah, I can see. It's it's time.
Top at the top. Time at the top. Middle.
Feedback.
Bottom.
Mix.
And then you have a three-way toggle. Digital, analog, reverse, which is kind of cool to see reverse in a pedal in this price range, I think. And then it does have a tap tempo. So you have like kind of a momentary switch on here. So if you hold the momentary switch down, you jump into tap tempo. And then you can choose between quarter dotted or eighth note subdivisions. That's a lot in a little pedal.
Right.
So I think we'll start. Even though I've been talking for a second, we'll start with me on this one. How would I use it, and then we'll go how Pat would use it. If you've been watching the channel, I mean, from the very first episode we were talking about this. I like that 1, 2, 3 repeats where it has almost like 3 analog repeats and it's gone that are spaced kind of close together. And of course, I'm going to run that with the Barber Electronics direct drive. So running in the Tyler PRS McCarty. And it sounds a little bit like. So it's there. It's analog. It comes in underneath. I mean, maybe we should do it one time with it off and one time with on so we can hear. Just makes everything a teeny bit bigger. All right, so how would you use it?
I would stay in analog. I'd go a little longer on my... Maybe something like that, because I do a lot of clean picking, and I would have that longer delay over my lead.
Did you want the drive?
Yeah, so you're hearing the drive. It's going to get a little... Very tape sounding. Analog.
And we're using the Barber Electronics direct drive version 4, I believe.
Right.
On that. So... could we set up just real quick? Because I always think it's interesting, even though I don't use it very often. What does it sound like if we were to flip it and try to pull like a slapbackish kind of thing out of it?
That's
Cool.
yeah, because we
Cool.
dialed that up on the blind. We didn't even try that before. That sounded good.
Cool. So I think there's a couple things feature-wise we should jump into.
And that was all analog so far.
So do you remember where you were for the analog you kind of liked or ballpark it?
Maybe.
It's less work for me.
Here it.
All right, so you have two other modes on here. That's the analog mode. Let's switch to the digital mode and give you an idea of how that's going to change things up a little bit. So for those of you that don't know, digital's going to be much brighter. It's not going to degrade out. It's going to have a lot more clarity. One thing I could mention on this pedal, if you hit that real quick and let it ring, we turned off. It does have tails on it too.
Right.
So if you had it set up like that and you were playing and you turned it off, your delays would keep going. It wouldn't just be a hard cut like we just did. But if you pull the power source on it, hold down the button, and plug it back in, you can turn those tails off, which we did just in case while we're recording this. We have it way up. We get into one of those crazy moments where we want to shut it off.
So real quick, just the lead with digital.
As opposed to analog.
Doesn't keep him playing wrong notes.
Right. And of course, there is one more mode on this.
Oh boy. Yeah.
What happens if we just flip it over to and do the same thing? So what? All right, a couple things to dive into. While we're on the reverse, if we take the mix knob all the way to the right, which one's that? Bottom.
Yep.
We cut out the dry signal, and he has just the reverse delay. Which is so cool. We were watching I was watching the rig rundown with Warren Haynes not too long ago. And he has this old hardwire pedal on, which we have one of those. We're going to do something in the future on his pedals. But this is the first kind of like, because that pedal's not being made anymore. This is the first one I've run into that you can get that in a package like this.
Right.
In a small package like this that $139. Or it's $129. I was pretty impressed that it was able to do that. That's really cool. Other really cool features of this pedal. So I'm going to pull that mix back a little bit, go back to analog, and then I'm going to press and hold this foot switch until this blinks. So now we're in tap mode. And what's cool about this is now your little slider switch becomes quarter notes, dotted, eighth, and then eighth notes. So if we go all the way over to quarter and we tap something, 1, 2, 3. Dotted eighth. And then eighth notes. The dotted eighth note one's hard to hear unless you're playing it right, because it just sounds like it almost sounds like quarters unless you're playing it with something and you hear. I don't know. How are you at playing something with a dotted eighth note pattern? Should the mix been a little bit higher,
Maybe. Possibly.
Doesn't matter.
We're trying to figure out the pedal here.
Should we try it again?
Yeah.
Tried to help you out by counting, but I don't know that I made it. I don't know if I made it any better or worse. All right. So what else do you want? Is there anything else on here that we want to? Do we need to show the range of anything?
I guess we could show the range of the time.
Okay, so let's get out of tap mode.
Right.
And then I'm just going to flip off and then back to analog to make sure we're on analog. Because it remembers, when you come out of tap mode, it remembers what speed you had, remembers what you were in before you went into tap mode, because you might have moved the switch in there. All right, so time all the way down. So that's time. Do we want to show feedback all the way down? Is just...
Makes that fun as those are actual sliders and not knobs.
Yeah, it does. I like the sliders. I think the slider thing is cool, personally. So anything else we want to jump into? I think we were there, right? The mix knob is nice because you can bring it way up in the mix. And if you go the whole way to the right, you cut out the dry signal. Mm-hmm. So you're just hearing the repeats. And then all the way to the left, you're just hearing the dry. And then anywhere in between, I guess. So, final thoughts?
I think it's a lot in one package. Honestly, we were ready to roll the camera, and Jason looked at the manual and was like, "Oh, there's more secondary features." Because one thing we talked about, another pedal that could do digital analog, we're like, "Oh, it'd be really nice if it had tap tempo and subdivisions." Well, this one has tap tempo and subdivisions, and it has the ability to obviously go between analog and digital. And neither one of us has done reverse a lot, but to have it in that form factor, that price, you could try some stuff and not be out a lot of money. It's like a bonus. So
there's some cool stuff. Maybe we didn't give that enough of a shake on the video because you played with that for quite a while. I don't know if you want to turn on the overdrive and take the delay.
Try. We'll see what happens. I think we had the
mix all the way up.
Yeah,
we'll get those kind of in the middle. Let's just see what happens. So we'll move some stuff. I need to play with that because it seems like a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else to add? Or
I can't add much more than that.
Yeah, I think for me, the thing that's blowing me away about this pedal is just the form factor. The $129 pedal, small box.
Mm-hmm.
You get a digital and analog delay. I'd be happy. I mean, I use a pedal about that size with just an analog delay.
Mm-hmm.
So you get the digital added in, throw in the reverse, which could be really fun and unique, and then throw in the fact that you got tap tempo and stuff, and it looks really cool with the sliders on it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty good deal.
I think so.
Pretty good deal. We want to take a minute to say thanks for watching, clicking the notification bell, hitting the subscribe button, all that jazz. Anytime you interact with us, that's what lets us form relationships with people like Walrus, and then in this particular case, Zzounds, that we got this pedal from. But hopefully, you interact with us, we get to get cool stuff to share with you. Hopefully, it's a mutualistic relationship in that way. And with that, mutualistic. I'm not a biology teacher. With that,
I'm PJ on behalf of the Bearded Money. No matter what you hear, you never have too much gear.